we should do something else. Let's do some more things while we're here. The thing that's been bothering me when I start up my bike is the kickstart here. So it will, let's see if I can go for it. It'll get down here, won't quite come back. You know, I tell you, like, deciding to try to make YouTube videos has been like awesome and like hard, because literally anytime I want to do something with my bike, I think, hey, have I made a video about this? Have I pointed out what I've noticed about this particular, like, you know, fix or task or whatever? And when I haven't, then I want to record it while I do it. But like, that takes preparation of like cleaning the area and recording the right stuff while you do it, maybe retaking some things, and then afterwards I have to edit it. So like, if I decide to do something to my bike, in my mind now it takes 3 times longer, and so like that can be really stressful. And it's hard to balance those things. When do I just like knock something out? When do I try to record it? And it's a challenge, you know what I'm saying? And I really, really want to recommend people to, if you got a phone, grab some video of what you're doing every once in a while, put it out there, add to what, you know, what everybody's doing as far as like showing other people how to do stuff. I think when you see somebody do it in person, it's a lot easier. You know, it makes a huge difference than trying to read it or somebody else describe it and they describe it their method from their way. You know, it's seeing it physically done. I think then you can find your way to do it a little bit easier, and I'm just trying to add some hints while I do it. Anyways, so that said, so my kickstart is down. It gets stuck down basically when I kick it sometimes. So, and I've had to do this a couple times on my stepson's bike. It just gets gummed up in there. I'm not sure if it's coming off of the belt or what exactly, but there's a lot of dust in there and it kind of jams up the gears. I actually have another CVT cover over here. So this is going to be the little seal that fits in this groove. Fits right into its little groove all around there and kind of seals it up, which not a huge big deal. I've seen a bunch of people cut holes in these to cool off this area. We'll get into that another time. But it's not terribly drastic to keep that sealed up as much. Obviously you don't want rocks and stuff in there and stuff like that, so to some degree you don't want a like big hole in there and then you get something jammed in there, you know, use some common sense, but it's not too big a deal, honestly. Just to remind you, here's the kickstart, and it's going to go down like that. It's going to come up here. And you can see that this big gear turns this, and this part has these little teeth on it that are going to catch that kickstart lever. All right. What's unique about it is as you go to hit the kickstart, you can see it's going to want to lift out. I'm not sure if you can see that there, but it pushes out. That's what's going to cause it to grab your kickstart washer and engage it. Problem is if you want to test this out while you're just standing here like this, it's going to push it out of place as well, and then you've got to reinsert it back in. Let me go ahead and get some gloves on, just so I won't have to be washing my hands 1,000 times tonight. Make it a little bit easier. All right. So just to show you how it works, I'm going to hold this in as if it was able to be pressed against like the kickstart washer, and it just spins it. Okay? Very simple. Like I said, if you were to do that on accident, it's going to pop out there, and then the gear's just going to come back, and your kickstart gear just goes all the way past the return position. Okay? What you need to do, and here's the clip a lot of us on the group were talking about, but this little metal piece right here just freely spins, okay? And it's on this little groove, all right? And it just, this part of it locks into here, all right? And so you just put it back in with that there, fine. But what we need to do is we need to get this gear past that first. I wouldn't put it right at its beginning. I'd go a little bit past and then kind of get that going, start it, and push down on it while you kind of let that kickstart gear go back a little bit, because it's going to pull it in rather than push it out. Kind of pull it in, you know what I'm saying? You got to get some of those gears lined up, and then once it's all together, it has a natural stopping point where this will stop and not. I'm going to hold down that gear so I can show you. Kick, and it comes back. Kick, and it comes back. All right. In fact, this one's running pretty good. I almost could just take this, swap it onto there, and be done with it, clean it up another day, but I think I'd like to clean it up for you guys right now, so you guys can see that. These are 8mm, and that one's on there way too tight. There we go. Yep. Which I really wish I hadn't tightened them down this much, because I've seen them break. And there's actually a broken one on my stepson's bike. I was letting him do it, and he's pretty good, but he hasn't wrenched a lot of things. So when it got a little too much, he didn't back off, and it snapped the bolt, so the head came off. But the shaft is still in there. So I definitely recommend having at least 3 to make a decent triangle. Like, try to put 1 there, 2, I don't know. I like to have 2 on top so it feels like it hangs better. And 1 on the bottom, and not 1 over here, but 1 here, so it forms a nice triangle of where the bolts are on the edges. 3 might not be enough, but I've done it. So, and as much as I go into my CVT, you know, I really don't want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of them? Yeah, just the 6. I really don't feel like I'm doing all 6 of them. And yeah, you will notice too down here, but I guess you can't see it from there, but there's the rear brake cable runs here, and it has a little bracket that actually connects to the bolt hole here. So you have to have that one, otherwise it kind of just lets the brake cable like be out there like willy-nilly. So you don't want that. That seal's going to come off sometimes on the engine, sometimes on the cover. It always smells a certain way, especially after riding. And this is pretty dirty. There's a white stuff in there I haven't seen before. Usually it's just this black stuff right there, but there's kind of some white stuff. I wonder if that's clutch pad. So, love to have a compressor and then just kind of blow that out or whatever. But the main thing I've got concerned with is these 2 gears where they mesh, and then the hole this goes into, that really is going to define if the gear, like, if the kickstart lever comes back, you know. So I'm going to want to clean this edge specifically, and then the grooves on there, and that is really quite a mess. So get that cleaned up, and then I'll try to put on a little bit of oil. If I have something appropriate, great. Otherwise, I might even just a slight dab of motor oil, like right along there. I don't want to put too much in there because I don't want it splattering and getting on my belt. So I'd like something that'll just stay where I put it. That would be better. But I also don't want to clean it up really well and then the metal to oxidize or whatever afterwards. I haven't had much problem with this. But you know what I'm saying. It's nice to oil up metal parts afterwards, especially if they're gears that are working against each other. So, all right. All right, so mostly that gear I'm gonna hit it all a bit. I just got some carbon choke cleaner here, so it tends to do a really good job on most things. This stuff is not fun to have on your hands. It really dries it out. I don't know if it does anything worse than that, but it ain't pleasant. I probably shouldn't have it on the rubber either, but it's not a critical part anyway. Here too, but watch your eyes. Always use eye protection when spraying this carb cleaner. I just wear it all the time with my glasses. Don't forget this part. It's a lot better already. I'm going to take a screwdriver and see if that's just discoloration or there's something I can get out of there, because any kind of gunk between these gears is going to make it harder for them to move and harder for them to return. So sort of losing the light. Hopefully you guys can see. Go back in with the real light in a minute. Just obviously I don't want to do this stuff in the garage. All right, get a little bit of oil. Make sure this is fairly dry. Looks like there's a little bit of rust on this. It's way too dry now, so get some oil. Old can, but let's see what it looks like. Yeah, it's nice and clean. Okay. I've got one in here that I've just redone, so I'm going to take that oil, just try to put it on the gears. So I'm also going to get that out. I'm going to try to oil up those gears right there and this little round part right here, because that's going to go in there and I want it to roll nicely as well. Alright. And I'll clean some excess off in a minute. For now, let's just kind of see if we can move that oil around. You can tell it feels better right away. Trying to work it the whole way. It'd be one of those times that two people would be very useful. Alright, that seems like it moves way better. I'm going to try to clean off any excess that isn't actually in the gears there, anything that's underneath it. I really don't want this dripping on my belt. So I would like a little coating on the metal parts so they don't oxidize. Alright. Cool. try to put the seal back in. It looks like it was right there. And so I just like to start at one place and just make it right around. Hopefully I started right at the edge there, because if anything, this thing stretches. You can always cut a little extra off to get to that point. But sometimes you'll find that you like can't fit the whole thing in there. Like, see, it's sticking out just a little far. So if I can work that slack back in, maybe. I'm just going to just work the slack back in, trying to pull this way as much as possible so I'm not stretching it long ways. See, look at that. I mean, just by, if it's stretched and you just push it back together, you know what I'm saying, so it's not stretched, but as you stretch it and put it in the channel, it's going to be longer. So you pull it out and get it back in more, less uncompressed, more compressed, but that's not, you don't really compress this rubber, you uncompress it, in my view. All right, so that's pretty good. We're going to flip around and put it back on the bike, kick it a few times, and make sure it comes back up. But I think it's much better. I didn't take my time with this, but I think we made a big difference for now. And I definitely depend on my Kickstart. I don't take care of my batteries very well, so this is a big deal for me. All right. So now that I have belt dust, choke cleaner, carb choke cleaner, probably some clutch pad dust on my hands, my eyes itch, but we're gonna get this back on here now. There is right here and here, there's a certain name for them, but there's little like cylinders that are gonna pop into these places and kind of help hold it. So you're only gonna need like one to really hold onto it for a minute. You gotta get that in the right spot. I would really not recommend trying to kick it without 3 of these screws tightened down. Really wrenches on. There's a lot of force that goes into kicking this. It's fairly easy once you get the hang of it. So if you've never had a Ruckus, it really should be easy to kick. You might have to do it a few times, but it's not a real pain in the ass usually, unless the bike has some problems. But you really can put a lot of oomph straight down with your foot. You know, there's a good reason why it's put right there. So now I prefer not to tighten them. I prefer to tighten them all down sort of one at a time. I mean, not one at a time, but all together. So I'll get one in almost the whole way, and then I'll kind of tighten them all together. It's like I said on this one, these little 8mm bolts are not the ones to over tighten. You know, I've got to get, I didn't show that to you, but there is that little bracket there. And sure enough, another good reason not to tighten it down is I can't get that together because it's kind of cockeyed. It's kind of this way because I've tightened those in first. So make sure it's there. Now it's on properly. Pull up that little bracket that holds the rear brake cable and see if I can find the hole in the dark. Yep. Got that in there. Hopefully the socket hasn't gone out on me. And it has. Extension. I got a bunch of tools. when my dad's older friend passed away recently. And I got a couple of these Craftsman tool chests and a bunch of tools and stuff like that, and his kids weren't big fixer-upper type people, but I sure love the extra tool space and a bunch of good tools in there. But he had a lot of sockets, some of them of various quality over the years. Probably the kind of guy who got given, oh, you like tools, so I'm going to give you a gift set that I saw at Famous Bar or Dillard's or something like that. So it's always nice to have more tools lying around, but at a certain point, I mean, they're gonna break, you know. I really miss, and it was more through my dad telling me, but back in the day, I mean, you buy a Craftsman tool and it's just guaranteed for life. It breaks, you walk in there, they just give you a new one, you know, flat out. That's just how it worked. You didn't need a receipt, and it was for the life of your tools, and that's pretty awesome. Some of the guys that can afford snap-on tools, or their work gives them snap-on tools, I feel like they understand that kind of quality that you want in a tool, because like you just want to have one there that works. It just works all the time, and you know you don't have to have 3 of them, you know, because one might break, and that's real nice feeling. So like I said, I don't want to go too tight with them. So that's probably pretty good. I'm not going to turn the bike on, but I'm going to try to kick that. I just leave mine down. You know, honestly, as hard as that is to go up and down, I would normally suggest, if it's you, maybe put some WD-40 or oil in there so it can go up and down. But I just leave it down all the time. So that's very nice. All right. I'm pretty sure that that's fixed. Obviously, I'll watch it for the next couple of days. Maybe I'll put a little bit more oil on there because I really was extremely conservative with how little oil I put on it, just because, like I said, I don't want it getting on a belt or the CVT or anything and then slipping and then losing, you know, performance. But I need something so those gears mesh easily. There's a lot of friction in that area. So that's good. That's knocked out. You know, we're going to try to do something else here because I'm just doing this for the night. This is what I'm trying to get done, is get this bike back into shape, guys. So I'm going to go maybe grab a bite. We'll come back out and do something else. Okay? Catch you guys in just a minute.